All right, everyone, we're back together again to start talking about unified light sources and shading. So now that we've went through and we've done all this work to get this three-dimensional image, we need to start talking about how to make this look three-dimensional with the shading as well. So we are going to use what's called a single unified light source. We have probably a light or two up above in this banquet hall, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different windows here, but we're not going to get that complicated with it as far as what our dominant light source is and secondary light sources. We're just going to have one light source. So if the light were coming in dominantly through this window over here, this wall, which would be facing it, would be the lightest. This would be the second darkest, and this would be the darkest because the reflected light in the room would be the only thing hitting this wall surface. Also, as the light came across, our surfaces that are facing the light source over here would be the lightest. So these would be the lightest surfaces. This would be the darkest because it's on the back side, and then we would have somewhere in between for the surfaces facing us. So what I'm going to do for the purposes of what we're doing right now is I'm going to have an overhead light source. We're going to not use the windows as the light source. It's going to be coming from above, even though we can't see it. It'll be right up in here. So my top surfaces are going to be the lightest, and my wall facing us will be slightly lighter than the walls on either side. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to start to shade this thing here, and I want you to see how this kind of comes about and what it looks like when we're done. Another thing that I like to use when doing this is I like to use a piece of paper along the edge. So if I start to shade on this wall over here and my direction of my marks is going this way, I'm going to lay this right here and start to do my shading along that edge. And what that's going to do is allow my marks to go the same direction but keep the edge really clean. So with that in mind, I'm just going to go ahead. I'm going to work here for a little bit and let you watch how this goes, how this comes together. So we're keeping in mind that the light source is up above. All of our top surfaces will be our lightest surface. So on my table here, I'm going to start with a really light brown. On the front side, I'm going to have a medium, and on the back side, the darkest. So I'm going to hit here. And then our face that's facing us has to be somewhere in between the two. Notice that I'm not worrying about an outline between my edges either. I'm just making changes of light to dark. All right, so now that I've established my formula, everything in this room is going to have the same light or darkness to it. Excuse me. So if we start to look with this light source coming down onto these chairs, we're going to make the top surface the lightest surface, because that's what we did on the table. Our inside facing surfaces are going to be our darkest. And our side planes are going to be the middle value, somewhere in between. Now, if you start to get too much similarity in like your middle tone and your light tone, another trick you can use is you can take a white colored pencil and start to blend into your lightest color, which will lighten it a little bit. If you start to have an issue with your middle color and your darker color looking the same, you can come in with a darker color of brown, or in this case I'm going to use a walnut, like almost black, and I can overdrift over that original color and darken it down as well. So what we're going to have is we'll have a unified light source on the walls, and each object will have the same light source, so the tops of each one of these planes will be the lightest. The end down here facing us here, 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 and here will be medium, and the areas that are facing inward here, here, here will be the darkest. If you have any questions on this, don't hesitate to shoot me an email. This is how we're going to establish a light source and start to shade our 1-point perspective.